Hello, my name is Hugh Knight and I'm the Fechtmeister of the Shock Shooter. This is for my guys down in Australia. I saw some videos of your work on some of the sword and buckler plays, and I thought you could use a little bit of insight into how Talhofer's plays work and how the displacements work. The thing to understand, first of all, remember that the names we gave these are just stolen from 133. They don't really apply to this in any sense, except they sort of resemble similar positions, so don't be put off by that. The thing that you guys have to understand is that swordsmanship is very dangerous, right? They're constantly going for little bits, your hands, anything they can get to. So when you make a displacement, I'm just going to set this aside for now, but when somebody cuts at me, I don't want to just brace and hope he actually swings for my sword like we're doing some kind of stage combat thingamajig. The first two displacements in Talhofer's sword and buckler plays are actually the same thing. They're both a hanging blade position used to displace that's much like the Messer plays in Glasgow Fechtbook, where he talks about the simple displacement. That's all this is. To do it though, you want to meet your opponent's attack. You want to actually move into it rather than just waiting passively for him to hit you, because if you do that, he's likely to turn and aim at something else. Right? So he's likely to aim at your hand or something as he changes his guards. Now your buckler helps prevent that, but your forearm could be open, anything. So the idea is that you want to actively move into the displacement to stop the attack. Also note that contrary to what a lot of people think, you must actively block with the edge of your sword. If you don't, if you try blocking with the flat, he can drive right through this because your wrist is weak in either of those directions, and he'll power right through it. There are several masters who talk about this very specifically, telling us that we have to block with the edge of the sword, and that's what we do. So again, now the only difference between these first two plays, Crook and Vidipolk, is what you do with the buckler. Remember that we start with the buckler directly out to the front. The reason we do that is because when it's here, it doesn't offer any passive protection. When it's here, it creates a zone of protection. The Degrassi book actually has a diagram of this showing how you hide in the cone of shadow of your buckler. So if my buckler's out here like this, he can't cut straight through, he has to cut around. Now it's not a shield, you don't block with it. And it's not a big block. So he still can gut around it and cut me in my arm or any place else if I just stand here passively. But what it does is it forces him to change his vector of attack. He can't just come straight in with his displacement. Now in the first displacement, the Vidipolk, we call it that fiddle bow, because it's like the bow of a fiddle, right? The secret to it though is remember that the buckler is not a shield, it's a gauntlet. So I'm going to cover my hand with it and wrap his arm from there. When I do the crook, it's the same thing, except I'm putting these two knuckles into the palm of this hand, like that. Okay? But notice that both displacements were the same. Here, or here. Here, or here. It's just where my hand goes relative. So the first one again. Now, when you do that, the big mistake I see a lot of people make, just go into the bind, is they bind, and then they just try and wrap the guy's arm like this. But if he pulls, you're going to have a bad day. So the trick is, as I step in, notice my footwork. In. That's what I'm going to follow with this. In. Look how I've rotated my body as I stuck my arm through. I didn't go out sideways, I went in and then pulled it back. Now I have an extremely secure lock on his arm. Watch that again. Watch how I rotate my body into the catch, making for an easy grab. And it's fast. This is not some fussy, unworkable thing. Cut. Okay? Okay, now the other play that I saw you guys having difficulty with was crawl. And what I saw a lot of was people just cutting into the sword and then cutting back around to the opposite side. That's not good technique, because who's in control of that bind? No one. When I come to here, I'm a dead man. In reality, this bind is what's called an inverted hand. When you see this in the plays of the Messer, it's done like this with the nagel, that's the nail that sticks out from the side, catching the sword. Now these long swords, or I'm sorry, arming swords, don't have nagels. They don't have that nail as a hand protection. Now some groups, which I can't name without getting a bunch of guys in red t-shirts even more angry with me than they already are, stupidly think that when Talhofer talks about a turned around hand in this play, they're saying that you want to block with the flat. You never want to block with the flat. It's stupid. Your wrist is weak. What they're really talking about is the fact that you have to turn your hand around to catch it with the cross of your sword. Note that we don't do this with a chopping action. In fact, I do it more with a thrust. Come on this side. I really sort of thrust up in. Again, I'm going to do this without my buckler at first. But as he cuts, I turn this way as I thrust up, winding my sword around. Then from there, I go for my attack. Okay, watch that again. You see, I've caught him in my cross. This is the crown, yes? Now, once you've done that, then you're going to push him off and come around for the thrust. You could finish this with a cut or a thrust. I want you guys to work on it with the thrust because you don't use a lot of these thrusts from above. So let's look at it now with the buckler tossed in. Again. See how I'm controlling him with the buckler? His hand, he can't do anything. Meanwhile, I nail him. Okay, guys, I hope that helps you out, and we'll look and see what comes up next time. Good night.